I'm Paul Sims. I'm here with Maura Tierney.
Hello.
And co-executive producers Joe Furey.
Hi.
And Josh Lieb.
Hello.
And this was the first episode that aired after the pilot. I think we shot this third, but it was the first one that aired. I just stepped all over the joke that we all seem to enjoy so much. But
you know what's funny about this is Andy's on the air too. Why was Andy? Andy was not ever on the air really. Why is his character on the air?
That's true because early on,
were you originally thinking he was going to be?
I think early on we thought that, except for like Vicky and Dave, everyone was sort of an on-air personality.
Right. Because people, they did go on the air occasionally.
I went on the air.
Yeah, you did too.
Throughout the whole thing.
But that was you were a reporter and a
right. But like Andy originally
and a producer. Yeah.
His character was a working reporter, and it wasn't until like third or fourth season that like he never did anything.
Yeah, that's true.
He used to cover things and write things.
Yep. There's some extras in the back.
Yeah.
Very busy.
All the extras are like in the corner all the time. Like what's going on in the
I know.
Like it's far in the corner.
I know I've said this on another commentary, but early on we thought we had to have other non-speaking bodies in the background to make it seem like a bustling newsroom. And then as the show progresses, it just gets emptier and emptier till it's just the 8 main characters there.
Yeah.
There you can see in the background what later became the break room. At that point was a offline recording studio or something, but we only did 2 episodes using that, I think.
Yeah. It was really, we couldn't really do anything in there.
And
is this...
What?
Wait, I feel like there's a funny joke coming up. Oh, here.
Haven't I been clear on that?
I think that's a really funny joke. All right, continue talking.
You know, we mentioned it before, Maura, but early on in the series, you wore a padded bra.
A padded bra.
And this is one of those episodes?
And this is one of those episodes, which I'm now realizing doesn't make that much of a difference. I don't know why the wardrobe woman was fighting so hard for it.
I think you look great.
It looks good. I think Andy has a padded bra too.
And Joe's wearing a padded shirt.
Yeah.
Oh, and that wardrobe woman wanted to get the guys to pad their suits too, with shoulder pads and also pads in the front, where their pecs are or whatever, to make everybody look.
Really? I wasn't aware of that.
You know what's kind of amazing watching this? This is like one of the first episodes. They really are like their characters are pretty well developed. I mean, it seems like they're.
That's true, because in my memory, I felt like it took us, many more episodes to figure out what we were doing.
Yeah. It seemed like it was sort of slow to progress, but
I don't know. That was the fun thing. Was
the fun thing for me was incorporating details of the actors' personal characteristics and.
For instance, Stephen Root is a billionaire.
That's right.
Rogan, we used to try to get him to take off his shirt, like to be a beefcake. And he used to object to it, so he felt like he was being used by us.
Who?
Joe.
Joe Rogan?
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. He didn't but he did a couple times.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He did in that.
Yeah, he got very uncomfortable about it.
Yeah.
And that one episode where
so
he had to take off his shirt.
Yeah.
That's right.
But didn't he take off his shirt when the one where it was everyone's daydreams?
Yes.
With Vicky?
Yes. He was.
Oh yeah.
He was fighting the
toiling
aliens?
in the heat or something.
Yeah.
He took his shirt off, and he didn't want to do it. He was very uncomfortable about it, as I recall.
This, I think, is the first This episode is where Dave and Lisa start going out, and that was a big debate because, first of all,
I know Jim Burrows wanted you to wait, right?
Yeah, and when the show was first pitched, the Dave and Lisa having a romance was never really part of it. But
Oh, really?
No, it wasn't. It was something that we thought maybe would develop later, but it wasn't a big part of it. But at the time, the network really liked the Sam and Diane relationship on Cheers and felt that most of the shows needed a romantic comedy element.
And also the sexual heat between you and Dave.
Burrows that too.
Well, no, but
wanted you to wait.
No, and that was part of it because part of the appeal, according to the network, was that if they do the mating dance and it's episodes where they almost get together and then they don't, you string it out and you build some suspense, and I thought it was just funnier to make it where they hook up immediately and then deal with the consequences. But I still feel like, especially in the first 2 seasons, I feel like we did too much of it.
Maybe. Yeah.
Well, there was too much talk about it. Yeah, there was.
I think one of the problems also is that it made the it made the show sort of serialized in a way. And I never liked, shows where...
You never wanted
Right.
to do that.
Yeah.
Well, most of them, right,
but
can be self-contained though. You don't
yeah,
like.
that's true.
See, I always liked that more than you did. And you always stopped
Well,
us.
for like Friends and stuff, I think it works great, but...
But Lord knows we weren't going to have a 10-year run.
But
so
remember,
No, but at the
We
time...
thought this episode was the end.
it wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was.
This is the last funny
it
one,
was
right?
the beginning of the end.
Now, remember Bill had that girlfriend who thought he spoke with an English accent, and we were gonna make that into an arc, and it just ended.
Yeah, there were
That's true.
several things we tried to make into an arc that kind of never
That's true.
developed.
That was another thing. The network always, at the beginning of the season, wanted to hear what the arcs were for the season of these stories that would be progressive, which I can understand the reasoning of. They want people to get hooked into some story and come back the next week to see what happens. But the shows that I really liked when I was thinking of this show, like Taxi and Barney Miller, were all completely self-contained.
Well, they were also doing a huge amount of that arc stuff for a while.
Yeah,
too.
everyone was
I
sort
don't know
of
if they
doing
do
it.
it so much now, but
And so, what would have been your plan
What?
if you could do it the way you had wanted to do it, which is to not put them together, right? Like it just would have been people working together.
I don't know, but you know what? I can't blame it that much on the network because I was also into it. It's just once we started it, we realized that we had to deal with it in every episode, or else
Right.
something would seem weird. You know.
Right.
it was also, it sort of became important too because it gave us a device, something to tell a story about in some level. I mean, we had to, a lot of times it was like, well, what is this going to be about? We sort of
Hang
built
it on something.
Yeah, we had to hang it on
Yeah.
something, and then you could do the other stuff.
I don't know. It's weird how people get I mean, fans actually liked you two together. They were very
You sound
fond of
so
Dave and Lisa as a
shocked about
couple.
it.
Yeah, it was-
Yeah, as opposed to us. Right?
yeah,
What do you mean?
exactly.
As opposed to the writing staff.
No, we liked you together.
A little
I thought they were
Annie
good
Hall thing
together.
going.
No, you know what? I liked it, and I used it to work out some personal issues of my own. But at the same time, I always liked the things when Dave and Lisa were fighting about work more. But you know what? Those probably wouldn't have had the same impact if there wasn't also the romantic component.
But to me, that was never the funniest part of the show.
What was the funniest part of the show?
I feel like the idiosyncratic, the weird stories about people's backgrounds, and the weird stuff is always what made it special and funny. Like, remember when Phil got that he liked the sandwiches from that
That's a good episode.
and then it's this whole bizarre story.
His backstory about his mother.
Yeah.
But there's lots
His mother
of
used to give him
moments
those.
like
I
that.
did, it
And
is.
that's
I think as
fun.
you watch the show progress, particularly towards the end of season 2, I mean, at the beginning, there was an effort to make it sort of real life,
Right.
Yeah.
and then at a certain point, we got much more cartoonish in a way that I liked. I
Me
liked.
too.
Well, it became easier to write too. Actually, when it became more cartoonish,
Yeah.
because it was more, we were having more fun doing it.
Yeah.
It was
But it
like-
wasn't just bland, like broad. It was
No, it
weird.
was just silly.
It was
and-
silly.
No, yeah.
It was.
Because they're all gonna find out just as soon as you and Lisa have your
I think the audience needs to know how much Joe Furey used to nap in his office on the couch, and how cute he was.
That is so untrue.
It's completely true.
You, sir, are a liar.
Joe Furey needs 19 hours of sleep
This
a day.
is a good episode.
This is.
Vicky's wardrobe. Speaking of wardrobe,
I know we had such a hard time getting the wardrobe right early on.
I don't even want to begin on Dave's tie. What was the deal with that tie?
It's bigger than he is.
I just like to point out I have that coffee mug in my house.
Joe, now, somebody's gonna break into your house now.
But there was more than one of those, right?
I know.
Oh, okay.
But
Maura-
I'm
I didn't
willing
wanna
to
bring
I'm willing
any-
to sell it at the highest
All
price.
Maura, at this stage in the series,
Yes.
we've done
The
the
beginning.
We've done the pilot. This was probably the third one we shot. Did you have a feeling it would go for 6 episodes, 5 years?
I had a feeling when we shot the pilot that night that it was a good show. Because I'd done other pilots and I'd been on other shows, but it felt different and funny to me in a different way.
Did you like it?
I didn't know.
Did you
I
have
didn't
fun
think about
right
how
off-
long I was going to go.
Did you have fun with the other actors right off the bat?
I
like when you
think so.
started?
I mean-
or was it hard? Or
I don't think it was hard. I think we all pretty much got along.
that's good. And I know that the one thing that was kind of weird was dealing with the directors too, in terms of.
I mean, of course we all got along. I'm sorry. Can I?
No,
I
go
mean,
ahead.
I don't know.
No, I mean,
we always hung. I mean, it was a little awkward in
Yeah,
the
at the
very
very
beginning.
I
beginning.
just meant at the
But-
beginning. Yeah, like was it difficult?
But we
that's all.
used to hang out after all the time, all of us. It was we had fun.
These first episodes, we were really remember. It was the writers were Paul, me, and
Yeah,
Joe,
there
and
was
Brad
like
Isaacs.
hardly any of
There
us.
was just the
Yeah.
4 of
The
us.
that
four
was
of us.
fun.
Yeah.
I know.
That was
And
fun. Sometimes I think it doesn't take 12 writers to make a TV
Yeah.
show. I mean, sometimes it can make it more fun because you have more people to hang around with, but just the four of us, there's something streamlined and much easier about it.
We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, we were
Yes.
working our asses off though too. I mean, we were up every night.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
but even when we got a bunch more writers, we were still doing that.
Yeah.
But
Still
that's
stayed
because we
up
were
all night.
wasting a lot of time.
But the thing too is that I sort of experienced on this show, which has affected me, is that there was no different camps between the writers and the actors. Really, like I felt like we could always talk to the writers. Our
Oh, yeah.
input and which is not the same on all shows.
Yeah,
Like
that's
I
true.
approach all my
Yeah.
jobs like that, and it's not always.
Yeah.
I think
the case.
I think a lot of that came out of how much,
We drank together.
except for me, because during the 5 years this show was made, I did not drink at all.
You missed out
I was
on a
o-
lot of
I know
fun.
I was ostracized by choice. But I think one of the reasons was that the run-throughs that we would have every day at the end of rehearsal were so much fun for the writers and I think for you guys.
Yeah.
Although I say that, but early on in these episodes there were some difficult
Who's
times.
that guy with the
There were,
beard?
there were a lot
I had a
of
joke I
difficult-
wanted to
that
do with
guy
him. He was an extra who was first
That guy
season
in
or
the
two.
back, yeah.
He was a good guy. I always wanted to do a thing with him where
With the guy with the beard?
with the staff evaluations where like Beth goes, you have to evaluate, animal. And that's they're calling him that, and it's like, because that's his nickname. So Dave calls him that. He goes, "What'd you call me?" They call him that behind his back. Anyway.
This was early on when we thought if there was a scene where the whole staff gathers together that we should have the non-speaking extras gather together also.
Who, again, didn't say a word.
And it always seemed kind of awkward.
Right. No one said a word.
Hold
Wait,
it.
oh no, this is another one.
Shh, don't scream. Plus, this will probably be the first one most people watch. It is such a corny reference, but
But it's funny.
there's
Well,
something funny about the
yeah.
mispronunciation thing, I guess. That's an actual applause break from the audience. That's odd.
Can we hear Jimmy laughing on this?
If you listen carefully often in the episodes Jimmy Burrows directed, you can hear him laughing. He's a fun, fast director.
Yes. And
Yeah,
he
Jimmy was
came
good.
up with stuff
Well, that's what I was going to say, too.
in this episode, I think.
It must have been difficult, too, for you guys, because when they had different directors all the time. Remember? I mean, it was kind of...
During this-
Burroughs at first was good because you guys got to know him, but then
Right.
we started to have a lot of different directors.
Well, yeah, in the
for a
second
while.
season, then it was different directors all the time, and it wasn't
Yeah.
until we got Tom Chironis to become sort of the regular director.
Tom is the greatest.
yeah,
Mr. Trony,
It
very
was
good
very
man.
consistent once he was doing it.
Yeah.
and fun to work with.
Yeah. And he got us because we were
Look
weird.
at this! Look,
look,
how
that's the
strange
break
this
room.
is. Yeah.
Right.
Eventually, we realized nothing would ever really happen in here, and we needed a break room.
That's right. Look at that.
Didn't like Catherine have 2 birthdays in one season at some point?
Possibly.
Yeah.
I don't know. Notice all the doors have no glass in them.
I always. I think didn't we ultimately change that door because I hated the way the louvered blinds would always rattle whenever anyone opened or closed it.
What
I think
are
that
they
was it might have been the same with the
Louvered
office.
blinds.
I think that might have been with the office, his office too.
Oh,
Also,
that post
see,
got removed as
that
well.
pillar became such a problem to shoot around that eventually they put wheels on the bottom of it, or maybe
And then eventually it vanished.
and then eventually
Some-
it vanished
it's
from the
like
show altogether.
We used to joke about it all the time in editing because it was the pillar that kept appearing and disappearing constantly for whatever was going on.
Louvered.
Louvered.
Okay, louvered blinds. I said it.
We also had a
Yeah.
Is
huge
this show-
problem. Didn't we
oh.
have at the beginning?
Is it
We had a
over?
huge problem with that glass in the window in the booth.
Yeah.
Trying to film anytime we tried to
right.
film anything, it was almost impossible
Yeah.
to
You
film.
Take the glass
Because
out.
we had to take the glass out and we had to.
Eventually they put that on hinges so it would come up. But especially as the show continued, there were so few scenes that happened just inside the booth.
Yeah. But I just remember everything would shut down. We'd have to take that glass. It was such a pain in the neck.
More louvered blinds.
Yep.
Louvered.
There you just heard the phone ringing. That was doing the sound mixes. That was a constant. I don't know what it was, a struggle or something. Because to make it seem like an office, sound-wise, they would put in this sort of chatter and the sounds of phone ringings. But I found it so distracting somehow
We
that
went through so many variations
I know.
of trying to
Eventually, as the show goes on, that sort of background noise completely
Where were we
goes.
shooting this? The first ones.
This
This
was
was-
the Sunset
Sunset
Hour.
Hour.
This was at Sunset Gower, but not on that stage that we did most of the rest of them.
This was
on.
on
The first stage we were on.
And then we went to.
Renmar for the last season.
But
That was only the last season.
Yeah, but everything else was Sunset Gower.
Okay.
It just seemed like
I loved Sunset Gower.
Yeah,
It was genuinely, it was right in the heart of Hollywood, so you felt like you were really making a TV show.
It was the old Columbia Studios, too.
Yeah, but we had nicer dressing rooms at Renmar. And you had nicer offices.
Didn't someone have like Gloria Swanson's dressing room, or what? Like or the editing room was? Yeah, that editing room was.
And we had a little patio to have barbecues.
Yeah.
We get in trouble.
That's right.
Every office had its own
remember
bathroom
that
and shower.
script supervisor? What was her name? Never mind, nothing.
Yeah.
That's an interesting perspective, Beth. But Lisa and I.
Oh, he's so young.
Dave doesn't have a tie on, I'm noticing.
Casual Friday.
Oh.
I think it's part of a joke.
This is
later
the show
on.
that started the Casual Friday craze in America.
That was huge. What are you wearing?
Maura, you have a different outfit on, don't you? No?
Yeah, what am I wearing? I don't know.
I don't know.
I hesitate to say it, but what are you wearing?
It's a matched sweater set that I'm wearing in front of the louvered
No,
blinds.
it's like a long johns or something.
It's a sweater.
Is that your lumberjack outfit?
Wait, are you watching the same episode I'm watching?
I have no idea what that means.
The one where Andy and Lisa wore the same shirt was funny.
True.
Oh, I don't really remember that.
You were very upset, as I recall.
There's Phil with the glasses.
Catherine's birthday yesterday.
Oh, okay. Is Catherine going?
No, but it's the thought that counts. Come on.
When you got hired on the show, had you seen any of the other actors before, besides Phil?
Yeah. Well,
Had
No,
you-
because I had never seen Kids in the Hall.
You'd never seen Kids in Ben Stiller show with Andy on
I
it?
did see the Ben Stiller show, but I didn't. I remember having seen it. I didn't remember the players.
I can't believe you told Beth.
well, I can't believe you're making such a big deal out of it.
See, after saying that before about not liking the relationship stuff so much, I did like the arguments, and that seems to be what most of the relationship stuff was.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was saying. It kind of helped get some kind of story going.
I guess part of it also is that
did.
we were admittedly incapable of writing those kind of sweet moments that.
But I don't think those belong on a sitcom. It's like
I-
a very special news radio would not have
We were
worked.
all-
I know, but not a special one. But I think a show like Friends can do it, and it works.
I feel
I
like
think
it's really
actually
hard.
We did it a couple of times where it was done very well. Like,
But it's hard.
The
I
smoking
don't know if
episode.
the time frame is wrong. You
space
can't do
one.
that in 22 minutes.
no, but we did it a couple of
When
times.
Jimmy
like
had a
the one
heart
with-
attack.
Well, yeah,
Yeah, that's
or,
true.
or the one where Jimmy was about to sell the station.
The
was sort
sell,
of
but
like sweet.
I don't know.
It was kind of a
It's
sweet.
but I thought it was like
No, yeah,
Goofy.
those sweet moments I never minded. I guess I just meant the romantic sweet moments.
But even the sweet moments were never overly done, overdone. They were kind of just done in the style of the show, which I always thought was good. I mean,
Y'all just did it.
to the point that the
Josh.
to the point that the network.
Oh wait, here
didn't believe
comes
the
the
moments
Jimmy
were
Burrows
sweet.
joke.
that's right. And the network wanted them much sweeter all the time, didn't they? That's all they wanted was sweet moments.
That's funny.
I'm just kidding, they're mine.
Jimmy wrote that.
That's good.
This is ridiculous.
Sorry.
What are you guys laughing about?
Oh,
over there?
nothing. Maura kicked me.
Where do we go from here?
I thought it was funny.
It is fun.
That's a funny joke too.
That's a good one.
Seriously.
I mean, I don't know. The way I see it, we only have two options. Either you quit or I quit. Because
There was
I'm
this
not
whole
gonna
thing
have
too
one
of talking about
Look at
this
my
constant.
Yeah, I was about to say nice shoes. Yeah.
like orthopedic shoes.
They accidentally
first-
gave you Rogan's shoes for this scene.
The first couple of episodes of this too, there was a whole thing of talking about constantly sex on the desk, or we were like, is that something that anyone really does? Or we always talked about like sex on the desk and sex on the,
Yeah, we ended up falling back on that a little
We
too
kinda
much.
did, didn't we? Yeah.
That they were actually doing it in the office.
Yeah.
Sex
It was
on
funny.
the
It was funny occasionally, but then I think we did it a little too much.
Yeah, mirrors on the ceiling,
Yeah.
jokes.
I can't take this anymore. Would you please just tell me to my face that I am fired?
Matthew, you're not getting fired.
Okay, that's fine. It's been very great working.
He makes me laugh.
Andy is so funny.
Not fired.
Andy's going to be very
I-
funny at this commentary.
Yeah.
I have that coat rack in my house as a souvenir.
Do you?
That's
really?
also available for sale.
Nope, not so that. I have the souvenirs I took at the end of the show were the coat rack and the conference table.
If you'd like to have lunch with me to discuss
The conference table, which also changed about 5
The new
times.
promos
New
were
promos.
also
We had to
something we talked
reshape
about
them.
all the time.
Oh, that's right.
Editing
new,
the promos.
New promos. Do you guys steal anything at the end of the show?
You know, I don't think I did.
Nothing?
I'm thinking.
I have
Definitely none of your wardrobe.
I have that thing from the
No.
boat one, the actual
The Titanic.
Oh, you do?
Oh, I have
the
some of
life
that.
preserver
Oh
thing
yeah,
or something.
I got
yeah.
have a plate from that. I'm the only guy on staff who knew how to spell Bill's last name consistently.
I don't
think
know about
probably
that, but
have
I
a
think
mug.
I think we never settled on whether his last name was MCNEAL or
No, we did.
EIL.
We did. It's
I think
MCNEAL.
you always
Josh
insisted
decided
on-
it was, but no one else did.
We did.
and that really was a pet peeve of yours that people would misspell it, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was. It seemed very
We used,
sloppy.
we used to do it
I
on
took
purpose.
Andy home with me as a souvenir.
Really? Have you kept him all these
Yeah,
years?
and he's living in my house.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah.
All those newspapers.
Hey, didn't we have? Wasn't there also something we were at one point going to have like more of a relationship with Candy and Bill?
Yeah, we were.
Oh, yeah.
I think we were gonna.
It was going to be like an art, not an art, but it was going to be like.
That's true.
Then we kind of just dropped it after a while because.
I think I think we dropped it because we got tired of writing relationship stuff.
I think you're right. I think like a lot of things like we meant to do, we just forgot to do.
That's true. We
I know, it's like
reminded.
the board. You'd go in the beginning of the season with that board, and there'd be all this stuff on it, and then
And then we never do any of it. Yeah.
This is where he reveals.
I think this was.
oh yeah.
That's part of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is part of it. Yeah.
Complex relationship.
It's a nightmare.
Why is
Oh
that?
yeah.
Well, about 4 years ago, Catherine and I sort of
I
tried
got-
to have a secret.
This
little
was the
office
plan, though, to do this. I think we
Yeah.
were going to go. And then Bill gradually got more insane as it went along, I think, so we kind of just dropped that.
Funnier to focus on him eating 5-year-old sandwiches
That's pretty much what happened. I mean, we did get
that
like,
somehow kept him young.
We just got to the point where we were like,
That was a Jimmy Burrows joke also that Beth was doing it with the
With the mailman.
the delivery man.
Yeah, that's right.
I think Jimmy wanted that to be sort of one of her character traits, was that she was always doing it with the FedEx man and
Yeah,
the water
yeah.
delivery man, but we never followed up on that one either.
Or Rogan with the van. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
He always talked about Joe Rogan having a van, but we never really did much with that.
Well, to be fair, it was early on in the show, and we were trying to find some sort of
Oh, yeah,
personality.
no,
we didn't know
absolutely.
we didn't know it. It wasn't until later that we got this whole technological genius thing going.
Right.
on the
That's
show.
true.
Well, yeah, but he always talked about
Technological
the.
genius / Unabomber.